How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to LOOTastic. Let's get right into today's video. Anthem. Let's talk about Anthem. Some quick backstory for you. Back when Anthem was first announced, I was hyped. Hyped for this Iron Man-esque futuristic looter shooter made by Bioware, the same team behind my #1 all-time favorite game series, Mass Effect. For so long, I wanted another sci-fi loot-based game, something that could combat Destiny, make improvements on this now super popular model of games as a service. I was so hyped that I even created a channel focused solely around Anthem. Did a few news videos, speculation, that stuff, yada yada. Then the gameplay for Anthem released, and everything changed. I was turned off of it instantly. Told my friends that it just doesn't look right for some reason. I couldn't nail down why, but it just looked off. I deleted my Anthem channel off of that gut feeling, and here's the kicker: I don't regret it one bit. Now, before I go throwing my opinions at you left and right like Anthem throws loading screens at you, okay, that was a low blow, but I saw the joke and I just had to take it. I have hope for Anthem. I don't hate the game. I love the combat. It's fun with friends. Enjoyed the story so far. Beautiful visuals. Sure, it has some issues like the loading screens and some other things. I feel the bulk of the gaming community is naturally blowing out of proportion, but my problems fixate on the loot aspect 100%. And lo and behold, this channel focuses on just that, so let's talk about it. The majority of games that have loot as a primary focus almost always have two facets that make said loot addicting, that both center around character or player progression. You have your statistics, the bonuses that come attached to loot, the random rolled attributes that can increase the hundreds of stats your character has, the loot that changes your abilities, the level ups, the skill progression, the skill customization, the style of gameplay, the min-maxing. Loot games often have loot that augments or drives all of these things and ultimately gives you different reasons to explore different playstyles, different builds, different classes, etc. Then you have the visual side of loot, visual progression. My favorite. Seeing the progression from wearing tattered clothes and a bucket for a helmet to epic gear that shines and glistens with cool effects and stands out to your friends. The exhilarating feeling of seeing that crazy item drop, bypassing the stats because you want to see how dope it makes your character look. The challenge of trying to find loot that not only has great stats, but more importantly, makes you look legendary while you're shooting or cutting your way through endless hordes of enemies. Whether it's armor sets in Destiny, fashion frame in Warframe, or even transmogrification in Diablo 3, visual progression is very important in helping sustain a gameplay loop. Now, if you've played Anthem, you know where I'm going with this. See, Anthem is missing one of those two loot facets, and that is visual progression. Now, the customization in Anthem is great. You can change the color of your javelin, which is basically the suit you are in. If you know nothing about Anthem, there's some small context. You can change multiple parts of your javelin's color, the material it's made out of, decals, vinyls, emotes, stuff like that. Cool. It's not progression, though. All the loot you pick up in Anthem doesn't affect your character visually at all. They have completely separated cosmetics from loot. Instead, the loot you pick up in Anthem are abilities, components, which are bonuses to stats, and guns. Now, guns do have varying looks to them, but they are all copy and pasted until you get to the highest rarity of legendary, and even then, they don't look much different. By copy and pasted, I mean at level 2 you can pick up a white, common assault rifle, and it will look exactly the same as the Masterwork assault rifle you find at level 30, 25 hours into the game. It just has better stats. Masterwork rarity loot is the second highest rarity loot behind legendaries. So if you are playing Anthem, and after 30 hours, all the guns, which are the only visual progression you have, all look the same, it's tough to continue, especially if visual progression is a huge draw for you when it comes to the looter genre. Now, there are armor sets in Anthem that change how you look visually. If you purchased the Legion of Dawn edition of Anthem, which costs $20 more than the base game, you got an armor set. That's it. That's the only other armor set. The only other visuals you can obtain are through the in-game store for real money or coin, which you obtain in-game. Still, that doesn't show progression. It's different if you can just buy your way to looking better, or looking different. You could essentially play the same mission over and over again until you accumulated enough coin to buy an armor set without dishing out cash. But that's not progression either. Let's take a step back and look at how other games do visual progression and how their systems intrigue their player bases to continue playing the same gameplay loop over and over again in hope for a cool helmet that their friend has. Most loot-based games have some sort of multiplayer feature, a party system where you and your friends can team up, or a hub area of some kind. Destiny is easiest to use for an example because the tower in Destiny is one of these hub areas where you can see tons of other players roaming about doing their daily bounty gathering and casually chilling, dancing, goofing off, etc. In the tower in Destiny, you can see every player's avatar. You can see what armor they have on, what auras they have, what weapons are on their back, what shaders they have on to change their colors, what weapon ornaments or skins they have equipped, what titles they have under their name detailing epic feats they've accomplished. You can go further and inspect every single player. Look into what roles they have on their weapons, what class they are using, what emblems they have. This all works very well for multiple factors of Destiny. Yes, it's a fantastic social space to meet new people, mess around, inspect players, things like that, but it also serves as a very important way to keep players around, to keep players searching for that gun or that chess piece, and here's why. When you see something someone else has that you don't have, that you want, seeing it on someone else reminds you, oh yeah, I still need that armor piece, or maybe you've never seen it before, so you're like, whoa, where did they get that? Let's say you've been trying to obtain this piece of loot for ages now, but either the RNG gods are in your favor, or the challenge is tough. Seeing someone else with it equipped can reignite that flame, reminding you that it is possible, just keep trying, it can be done, you can find it, you can achieve what you're after. It's benign envy of someone else because of something that they have that you don't, but you're going to find a way to get better, to improve, so you can as well get that weapon, so you can reach that level, get that title. Benign envy. So then once you finally obtain what you are after, you can then show it off, and that continues the cycle onto another player. There is a really great article that focuses on the psychology of loot in video games, and it talks about this in far greater detail. I'll link that in the description if you want to check it out. It's an interesting read. I highly recommend taking a look at it. So, back to Anthem. If you take visual progression and the ability to inspect other players out of the equation, you have no cycle. That's where Anthem is. Without the visual aspect of player feats, player customization, player progression, Anthem's loot ends up feeling very wordy and stats-based. A lot of reading and min-maxing, making builds around a certain playstyle and a certain javelin for certain situations. Even that is tough to follow because Anthem has no character page or stat sheet to tell how these different stats and bonuses are actually affecting your javelin at all. Is this bad? Stat sheet problem, I think it's definitely needed, and I know it's being requested by a lot of the community, so they'll probably eventually get it. But is the stats heavy focus bad? No. Anthem is just not a game for everyone that is a fan of the looter genre. A lot of people who play loot-based games enjoy visual progression. It's become a staple, a common mechanic in games, and when it's absent, so are a lot of the reasons people tend to stay around to keep grinding for that next good drop. I do have hope for Anthem to be a looter shooter for everyone, but I think true visual progression will never come to the game, not for a long time at least. Bioware, or probably more likely EA, built Anthem from the ground up knowing that cosmetics would be separate completely so they could sell them in a microtransaction store, which will inevitably create profit so Bioware can work on the free updates that will hit Anthem during its lifecycle. You have to wonder though, if Anthem didn't sell as well as EA hoped, which is looking like the case already from some reports I've seen online, where Anthem's physical sales in the UK alone are only half of the sales of Mass Effect Andromeda, not that we can draw exact numbers from that, but it for sure isn't positive. Will EA try to conjure up some other way to make some extra cash via more microtransactions and in-app purchases in Anthem? We know more javelins might be coming in the future. Could those be sold for real money? Who knows? EA certainly has a knack for really screwing up games that have potential with in-game stores and loot boxes. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with Anthem. They have a great roadmap planned and already are patching the game and listening to community feedback. They announced they'll be adding new chests to endgame missions that will give you new cosmetic items if you have the keys to open them. Because players wanted more ways to customize their javelins, but it's still not visual progression in the usual sense, but at least it's something, I guess. As for me, I am still playing Anthem, but, as I explained before, it's just weird to be missing out on one half of the reason people are addicted to loot in a game focused around loot. Not sure how long Anthem can keep my attention without visual progression, and I fear I'll get bored of the loot grind once I hit that wall of the rarest and best gear doesn't change how you look thing. I'm unsure if I'll be covering loot news on Anthem here on LOOTastic. It all depends on if I continue to enjoy my experience. Only time will tell at this point. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below and share your thoughts on this matter. I'd like to hear what you think about Anthem. What are your thoughts on visual progression? Are you like me, or are you more of a stats junkie? Let me know. As always, this video was brought to you by LOOTastic, where you get all the legendary loot news and info free of charge, no grind or limbs required. Like the video for your very own bucket helmet, and subscribe for Loot Cave 2.0. Until next time, happy looting.